Vanessa, what's up?
I am going to be 37 this year, and I don't really have any friends, and I don't know how to make friends.
Oh, that sucks, doesn't it?
It really does.
I hate that for you. Are you new to town? Tell me about not having any friends.
Well, I don't know, I'm shy and I'm awkward and,
Hey, me too. I am too. Hey, listen, I was walking into the building today and there was two people that I work with. They're awesome. And instead of saying, hey, what's up? You know what I did? I went, oh, I made some weird, noise. And I just stopped in the parking lot and I was like, I just made that so weird, unnecessarily. I should have just said, hey, what's up, guys? Like a normal I remember in college, my friend Mitch showed up and I ran over to, anyway, I'm awkward and shy too. It's good to meet another one of you. You made my heart feel a little bit better today. All right, so I just made this all about me. Sorry, Vanessa. I just had a confession. This is my confession. Okay, so you are awkward and weird. And
I am.
How long have you not had friends?
The majority of my life.
Okay. Tell me when you remember not having friends.
It was in 1991.
Oh, you remember the date?
I do. Okay. It was very traumatic.
Yikes. Okay.
We moved from my nice, stable environment to a very nice, not nice, unstable environment. We moved to a village. It was literally a village. The population was 100.
Okay.
And
how old were you when you moved?
I believe I was about 6.
Oh, man. Yikes.
And, my parents had recently got divorced. My mom started dating somebody else, and they just kind of uprooted us and shifted us away. So everything in my life changed. I had to start taking a school bus. I had to go to a new school, new teachers, no friends, nothing. And it sounds really silly, but I was the only kid in the school that had red hair.
Hey, Vanessa, listen, that's not silly at all. Kids are evil to each other, and every little kid is walking around insecure, and so they lean on differences. They lean on the sore thumb sticking out. They lean on the new kid. They lean on the redhead kid. They lean on the no-haired kid. They lean on whatever, right?
Right.
There is nothing weird about that. And you layer that challenge, right, being the only redhead kid, with being the tall girl or the short girl or the pudgy girl. You label that on top of parents' divorce, on top of, hey, everything's good, all of a sudden everything's ripped out. Man, you've got a lifelong thing, a seed that was planted at 6 that is still growing strong at 37, right?
Yes.
So listen, do not, please, I'm not telling you what to do. You're a grown-up. I'm just asking you as a neighbor. Don't minimize that. That sucks, and I hate that. Okay? That's hard. So fast forward through middle school and high school. Sometimes the awkward kids pair off and make friends with awkward kids. That's what I did. I had awkward friends that played music together and awkward friends that I was a good athlete, so we got to hang out with, the cool kids, but I had awkward kids that lived on my street. I mean, I just felt like I was surrounded by cool, fun, awesome, also awkward kids. I think in retrospect, every kid in high school is awkward, but did you it sounds like you navigated your way through middle school and high school just pretty much alone?
Up until high school, I didn't really have any friends until 10th grade.
Okay.
And then a couple, fellow weirdos kind of took me under their wing, and that was awesome. But after high school, everybody just kind of scattered.
Yep.
And we all lost touch with each other. And I actually grew up in Canada, and then I married an American, and we moved, down to the States. And so, kind of started fresh, started over, didn't know anybody, never really fit in with anybody down here or up there, because I'm in Florida now. Mm-hmm. We were in Indiana. And then when we got divorced, I packed up and I was like, tired of the winter. I'm tired of the cold. I'm going to Florida.
Hey, Vanessa, why'd your marriage not work out?
There was a lot of reasons, but the main reason was that my ex-husband convinced me to have an abortion that I didn't want to do. He gave me an ultimatum. Either I choose the baby and the streets, or I choose him and our home.
And you chose the baby and still ended up out of that home.
No, I didn't. I had the abortion, and it was incredibly traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
It was the worst experience in my life I've ever been through, and I just really disconnected after that because I got no support from him whatsoever, and things just deteriorated after that.
So what do you do for a living now?
I am a pet stylist.
Sweet. Okay. So you're in a job where people are eccentric and they bring you their eccentric pets and tastes and loves and all that. So you just meet people on a regular basis and you interact with their pets on a regular basis, right?
I do. I actually just quit my job about 2 weeks ago to start my own business.
Okay.
So I have a lot of people that I know, just nobody that I'm really close to.
Gotcha. So just in your retelling of this to me, do you hear just the roller coaster of trauma that's woven its way through your life?
Oh, absolutely.
And what the gasoline, the coal that keeps that roller coaster riding strong is shame and and unworthiness.
Yes.
I'm a failure. I screwed up, and I'll always screw up.
Yes.
And I failed myself. I failed people around me. I'm awkward. And you come up with these narratives like, I'm awkward, I'm a little bit weird. But the reality is, you don't like you. Is that fair?
That's 100% accurate.
Okay. And so the longer you live in worlds of secrecy, the longer you live in worlds of, I suck, I am not worth liking, then people aren't going to race to be in community with you, right?
Okay. And
I don't think you don't have friends because you're awkward, because I'm real awkward, and I have some really great friends. I'm really awkward. And here's the thing. You are going to have to believe in yourself that you're worth having friends. And then you're going to have to do the hardest thing you're ever going to have to do in your life, at this stage in your life moving forward. And that is to once again risk. And all friendships, all relationships are a risk.
Yes.
I'm going to put it out there, and will they show up? And if they do show up, am I going to screw it up? And you have a twofold risk. Are they going to show up, and are you going to screw it up? Right?
Right.
Most people have a hard enough time with the first part of that risk equation. Are they going to even come? Right? And I want you to know you're not the dumbest thing you've ever done. You're not your parents' divorce. You're not your parents uprooting you. You're not your red hair as a child. You're not the deepest shame you carry around. You're not. And you've got to believe I'm worth being friends with. I'm going to bring things of value to other people. And the things I'm going to bring are not utilitarian. They're not my cooking or my laughter. They're you. You are the benefit to other people. Right?
Okay. Yeah. It's hard because
it's super hard. Have you dealt with these traumas?
No. Actually, from listening to your podcast, I've actually, because I was in, after I moved down to Florida, I was in an abusive relationship with a narcissist, and I started going to talk therapy, and, I got my life a little bit back on track and got out of that relationship, and then my life totally exploded. And I ended up homeless, and the past 4 years I've just kind of been trying to get back up on my feet. And now that I'm back up on my feet, I am back in counseling.
Awesome. So when you project to the world, I have no value, I'm a loser, I'm the worst thing I ever did, I'm not accountable even to myself, there is a kind of person who's attracted to that, and that is somebody who will use you, abuse you. You will become an end to their means, right?
Right.
Or, I'm sorry, you'll become a means to their end. And that's how those cycles continue. And then you find yourself in an abusive relationship, and somebody hurts you, and instead of them getting their owning the weight of their evil, the shame cycle continues, right? Because that's what shame does, is it beats up its owner, right?
Absolutely.
So you're doing the right thing. Going to counseling tells you that you're worth spending the money, that you're worth the time. Getting a job that you feel good about, where you have good talents, where you show up every day, where you do good work, where you help people with their pets or their lives or their friends or whatever, that's going to help you be a person of value. And then this is going to sound weird, and we have completely abandoned this in our culture, and so we literally have to learn it. You're going to have to learn some skills on friendship. You're going to have to practice being a friend. And that sounds ridiculous, because that seems like the easiest thing in the world to know how to do, right? Like, yeah, because when you're kids, you just all get together. We had some people over the other night, and I don't even know what they were doing. I just know my daughter comes running out of the house in a frozen dress with a bow and arrow, and my son, I don't know what was happening, but they just created a game out of nothing, and there was all different age ranges. They were just in it, right?
Right.
When you're 37, you can't do that, right? If you show up to a local pub wearing a frozen dress and a bow and arrow, they're probably going to call somebody, right?
Probably.
And so you have to practice skills. What does that mean? Here's a good example. I just made a weird howling wolfy noise in a parking lot, and I had to stop and say, hey, I just made that super awkward. I'm sorry. And one of the guys knows me well. His name's Brad. He's awesome. He's like so lovely. And he said, hey man, just keep being you. And that was them saying, we know you're weird and we love you anyway, right? There are those people. And you are going to make awkward jokes. You're going to be talking to someone, and someone's going to say something that's going to remind you of your childhood. It's going to remind you of the pregnancy that you lost. It's going to remind you of an abusive ex, and your heart's going to take over. It's going to start racing. You're going to be anxious, and you're going to get up and walk out. And that's when you text them and you say, hey, I'm sorry I walked out on you. I totally had some bad memories. My bad. I will never do that again. Let's circle back up next week. And that's what I mean by practicing. How do you sit in there? And with your counselor, I want you to tell your counselor, hey, counselor, I want to practice relationship skills. I want to practice being a good friend. And your counselor, if they're worth 1/4 of what you're paying them, will be able to teach you some of those things. And then you're going to be able to project value to the world, because you're going to have the skill set to be a good friend. And again, this is not utilitarian. This is not, oh, she's the one we call when we need it. Nope. This is just, I'm Vanessa. I'm worth being friends with. And by the way, Vanessa, you've had a traumatic history. Let's make no doubt about it, right? You know that. I know that. All of our listeners know that. But I don't want you to feel like you're by yourself, because I know people who are deathly lonely in a crowded space with a family and a couple of kids. I know people who are lonely who just lost a loved one and don't even know what day it is, right? Because they're grieving so hard. There are millions and millions of people who are lonely. And I want everyone to start risking friendship. Start going out there and saying, hey, I'm lonely and I know you're lonely. Let's go get a drink. Let's go get some pizza that's going to give us gas and make us not sleep well. Let's go let's go kick a soccer ball. Let's do a thing. Let's go for a walk, whatever. I have a good friend named Cassie. I learned so much about hospitality from her. You know why? She just kept having potlucks at her house. Her and her husband, Gordon, they're incredible. Just kept inviting people over. And they were awkward conversations. There were people that were like, didn't get along at work, but suddenly showed up at her house. And you know what? She just kept doing it. And she was so lovely. And we were always greeted with a hug. And we always had good conversations and played games and talked about literature and law and weird stuff. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is what friendship looks like. This is what showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up. She just kept going first. She just kept going first. She just kept going first. And my wife and I learned what hospitality, learned what friendship looked like from her. And be curious, not judgmental, right? Say yes, be safe, right? You got a trauma history, be safe, but say yes, be open for adventures. But Vanessa, at the very bottom here, you've got to know you're not the worst things that have happened to you. You're worth being loved, you're worth being well, and you're worth being in a relationship with other people. I'm proud of you because I know going to counseling is hard. I'm proud of you for wanting to strike out on your own, but I want you to get a job where you're making some real money, right? And you got to go to work every day. You need some structure right now. And I want you to be bold and direct with that counselor and say, I want to learn some skills on how to connect with people. Because what you need is relationships, and what's hurt you has been relationships. So you got some healing and some learning to do in there. I'm so grateful that you called, Vanessa. I need you to know that you just helped a lot of people. You helped a lot of people being vulnerable and telling about your story.